Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Evolution Podcast, where we meet with owners of coaching and training small and medium-sized businesses to discuss evolving their business and client impact in the era of AI. Today, super grateful to have Joseph Blackman with me. Joseph has worked in public work entities for years, has built up a wealth of knowledge and rapport working in them, but also hosting his Public Works podcast, which I'm honored to have him here with me because he's got over 400 interviews on it. And he's leveraged that expertise that he's learned working there all those years and running this podcast to be the founder and CEO of Vitendo Training Solutions. So welcome, Joseph. Please introduce yourself and tell us about you and Vitendo a bit.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. It's always a privilege and an honor to be interviewed after always having doing so many interviews myself. So I appreciate you having me on. A little bit about me. Again, I'm Joseph. I'm just your average Joe. I'm just the guy that that said, you know what, this is a cool industry, which is public works or public utilities, and I feel like with making a couple tweaks, just that little 20% that could change 80% of the industry, I think I could make it a better place, and so that's what I did through Vitendo. I'll give you a brief overview of what Vitendo is. So the simple
I'll pry on it
concept.
more later.
Yeah. So the simple concept. If you've ever been on YouTube to watch a video on how to fix or operate something that you own, that's what I do for utilities. So just imagine you go to work for a company. The company has complex equipment, whether it's trucks, whether it's processes, SOPs, and they say, oh, well, we have all of our SOPs in a binder, and you got to read the PDFs. And what if somebody came along and said, instead of using the binder for the PDFs, why not have them all on video? And so that's what I do. I go from city to city, agency to agency, company to company. I take all their institutionalized knowledge, all their best practices, all the how-tos. I put it on video, put it in software, have an AI component for call-ups. And just trying to make people more efficient. I think we're getting to a place where we're not seeing that super duper experienced technician in the marketplace for hire. So we got to find people with good attitudes and train them up. So that's Vitendo.
Yeah. No, perfect. You explained it very well. I was going to pry further, but I feel like it's laid out. And so today, our episode is going to be on AI for knowledge transfer. I think you already kind of explained why you're a great guest to come on and talk about that, right? Institutional knowledge in a public works kind of industry in a utility space is really an issue because you've got, and you explained this to me during our pre-call, which is that there's older people in the industry who have like really, really high expertise, but they're leaving, and with them leaving, they're taking that knowledge and they're taking that nuance that's written into the rules with them. And so it needs to be consolidated, one, and two, put into a platform that resonates better with people. And frankly, my understanding, at least from a couple classes in college that I took, is that people learn so much better from videos than from reading out of a binder, right? So it's not only like you're making the knowledge accessible, but you're supplying it in a way that it actually resonates with people and provides for more rapid learning and upskilling.
Yeah, and that's the process. I mean, it's learning. I mean, people learn differently. But I would say 99% of people go on YouTube to find out how to take the battery out of their truck, how to, what parts to find and how to put together or fix their leaky faucet in their bathtub or their leaky water spout. Pretty much everything we want to learn or do, or even pre-purchasing decisions. Like I like video stuff, so I go on YouTube and I watch 20, 30 videos on a camera or a lens or a piece of software just to figure out which one I should buy next. And I feel like we're robbing an industry of that same concept by not doing it. I mean, let's be honest, like all of us have one of these in our pockets, and these things shoot 4K 30 frames per second. Like that's better than what Steven Spielberg had when he shot like his last Indiana Jones. Like, bro, like come on. Like, so we have the technology to create, but nobody creates. And I said, you know what, enough is enough. Like if I have to hop behind the camera and shoot a whole bunch of video and edit it and get it back so people can upskill, that's what I'm gonna do. We look at the task economy. We see people being forced to drive Uber. Whether you're 55 plus, you got pushed out of your career, this is your third act, you got to drive Uber, or you're doing DoorDash delivery, or you're doing like, you got a dog walking service, whatever. Like these tasks are all supplemented by an app on your phone. The app on your phone gives you the directions It tells you where to go, who you're going to pick up, where to take some person, and then you get paid through the app. And I say, why do we have to have a $92,000 employee that is only going to check 3 filters a day, 4 days a week, for 40 weeks out of the year? Why can't we have somebody who wants to make, let's say, $26 an hour, and they could do that again 3 days a week, 40 40 weeks out of the year, and then and have them be able to take something home, to their family. And the same thing, we can set it up to where we can put the videos on their phone. We can have them come to the location. They can watch the video, hit play, hit pause, do a process, hit play, hit pause, do a process, and get the task done. And both parties are happy. The utility got their problem solved, and that person's got some money. And so I think done are the days, we're not done, but I think we're getting close to the days where we need to hire somebody who's an expert at a task versus just having them, having somebody who knows how to follow some directions.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, the first step to expertise is being able to follow really good, high quality directions that are all encompassing, right? So I think that what you guys are doing is certainly helping on both sides of that, right? Because, you think about what it means to acquire expertise these days, right? Like there isn't these people going to like trade programs quite as much as used to be a thing. You don't have people really specializing in one thing their entire life. There's so many opportunities out there. And at least from my perspective, like the area I grew up in, like very, very, very rarely did you see somebody hone in on something at the age of 16 and become an expert that's still doing it at 70 and realizing every bit of nuance. So yeah, it's just a different world. And in order to, and I think it's a good thing overall, and it's natural that, things like that will always ebb and flow. But the first step regardless is quality training. So it's great that you're stepping in for that.
Yeah, you were talking about the AI aspect, and I the guy or girl, man or woman who's been at that job for 30 years, they are a LLM. I mean, if you get what I'm saying, they are a large learning model. They've been at this thing for so many years, all the nuance, they know all about it. And let's be honest, if somebody asks them a question, they can give an answer just like a chatbot can, right?
Yes.
And so I say, why do we let those people leave our industry without giving back to it? Without taking their knowledge and feeding it to a large language model so other people can, call up and get answers from. And so I say, like, let's, I think, not enough companies do exit interviews. Everybody's scared of the exit interview because we don't want to hear how bad we are as an employer, blah, 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 blah. But I say, let's just flip it and say, hey, Billy Bob, you've been here for 32 years. You know everything about this, company, department, whatever. We just want you to, to immortalize yourself and tell us everything that's going on in this department, so everybody else can learn from it. And you don't think Billy Bob will be like okay with doing that for his last 2 months with the company? No. And again, he takes his LLM and he plants the seed into somebody else, and they can develop their own, because we know how it is. Like when you first buy your car, right? You hop in, you turn the key and it turns on, right? Yeah. 10 years later, that same car, you probably got to hop in, clap 2 times, say a prayer, and then turn the key for it to turn on. So everything changes over time, and this stuff isn't in the OEM. Like, when you're working with the valve, you might have had to turn it 3 times to close it when you first got it. But over time, with the amount of pressure on it, you might have to turn it 10 times. And nobody knows that except for the guy who's been turning that valve for 10 years.
Yeah, who watched it go from 3 to 10, one turn at a time, one use at a time.
Exactly. And that type of knowledge is what needs, that tribal knowledge, that stuff that isn't in a book. It's not, in an SOP, but it's in his head. And only he knows that. That needs to be passed on.
I was just gonna kind of transition us into the industry trends aspect of this, and one of the things that I had top of mind was how are public works companies struggling to take advantage of AI and struggling to execute on this knowledge transfer? What's the role that AI has there? And to me, a really interesting thing that's kind of coming up in this when you talk about exit interviews is it's really challenging for somebody to articulate all the nuance that they actually have, right? I'm on a day-to-day maybe helping people out, giving out all of my little expertise, but if you sat down, one, it would be hard for you to know all the questions to ask me, and it would be hard for me to recognize without being probed on every single little bit of nuance what all the answers are. So I guess I'm curious, like, what are the best ways, and maybe it's what you're doing now and maybe it's what you could be doing in the future with your company, what are the best ways to make sure that knowledge actually gets extracted, right? Because it's not just taking that binder and the manual. As you said, there's stuff that goes beyond the manual. So how can we get that information?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, and I get this question in meetings like, "Oh, we love the concept, we just don't know where to start." And I say, "Okay, well, first thing you do is you probably have a new guy. You know, everybody's got an FNG on their crew, and so you ask the new guy. He's been there maybe a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 6 months. You say, "Hey, what do you want to learn that you wish you could have learned? What do you want to know that you wish you could have learned in your first 2 weeks? What does Billy Bob know how to do that you don't know how to do? What are some questions you wish you could ask this seasoned technician that you're kind of timid to?" Because we get it. We all have male egos, right? We don't want to be the person always raising their hand. How do you do this? What's the acronym for this? What does this mean? How do you say this? Like, nobody wants to do that. And so if you can get that person to, get them aside and say, "Hey, write down 20 questions of answers you think we can, get out of Billy Bob, or some processes that you wish you knew more of, or like a salesman came by and dropped off a product and you didn't really understand what he was saying on this, but nobody asked the question." And you'd be surprised. You get 5 technicians, they all put down 20 questions. You at least have 75. And those 75 is the foundation of your learning. Those 75 questions you could take to your seasoned technician and say, "Hey, answer these 75. He'll answer all 75, but guess what? Every time I go to the field, that list never gets shorter. The list grows. It always grows, because I don't know if you ever played sports. If they say, "Hey, coach, how do I tackle somebody?" Right? Like, okay, that's a great question, little Johnny. Now you got to figure out how to tackle somebody.
I love how everybody's like Johnny and like Billy Bob and Joe.
I know. All right, little Daquan and Ray Sean. So he wants to know how to tackle somebody. But first the coach says, "Okay, well, now we got to get you to figure out how to align yourself to get in position to tackle that person, because he's trying to run and his sole job is to evade you. So here's how you stay inside hip. Here's how you cut off, levers. Here's how you use your teammate or the sideline to be able to make a more efficient tackle." And even let's go. So that's another video or another 10 videos. And even before that, before the play is called, you got your alignment, you got your assignment. Where are you standing on the field? What do you do right after hike? The quarterback says hike, and your offensive tackle does this versus come straight at you. And so there's so much different nuance than just answering a question, because every question begets 3 or 4 or 5 other questions. So that list of 75 easily turns into 120, 150. After we start shooting. And so again, that list starts to grow, and you'd be surprised where that and once people start opening up with the questions and they know it's a safe space to ask these questions, it just starts to balloon from there.
No, I'd imagine it does. I still I'm jogging my mind about the fact of the unknown that comes from top down and from bottom up, right? If you just sit somebody down and you're like, "All right, what are all your questions?" It's like, well, I haven't formed them yet, right? And then when you're asking somebody C-suite, right? It's like, what are all the questions to ask? Or, "Sir, tell us everything that you know." It's like, well, what do you want to know, right? There's just so many things. I mean, obviously, LLMs are fantastic for assisting with solving this type of problem. But I wonder what processes you could use to make the model that you have even stronger and really flush out everything, such that you go on your phone, let's say, and you're looking at the how-to videos, and something just contradicted the manual, and now I don't just have, I need to go escalate this to somebody because it contradicted Joseph's video that he made me. Now it's like, oh wait, there's this if, ands, and buts about it kind of component, and it's all built in. And then I wonder how much that connects with actual value loss, right? So, because then you got to weigh the difference of, okay, did we just 80-20 this well enough such that, okay, being at the point that you currently have the model at and the videos at and the education at, it's not worth it to squeeze out, like the juice isn't worth the squeeze on the rest of it. I don't know the answer to that. Food for thought.
Couple great questions. Document versus produce, and I tell people this all the time. I say document versus produce. you don't want to. Producing is when you set up everything to film it or to document it. Documenting is documenting documenting is when you shoot it as it's happening. And, you're not. It's not a production. It's documentation. It's kind of like watching a documentary versus watching a feature film. The documentary isn't like planned, and so that's why I say if you got your 30 work orders for the week, find some work orders that aren't that or that kind of few and far between, and just document it. And you'd be surprised what you will see him do, what kind of tools he grabs, where he goes, what he's looking for, even how he opens up the electrical panel, what kind of PPE he wears. And there's so much content in documenting, because if you try to produce it, right, that's where you miss that, oh, we should have did this or we should have did that. But if you're documenting somebody doing the job, and it's kind of like on YouTube, like I'd rather watch again, Billy Bob with his wife holding the camera and him saying, here's the 3 lugs to take off this, spare tire for your truck, versus like the Ford, the manufacturer trying to show me how to do it in some clean production, because it's never really appropriate or it doesn't make sense to what I'm doing out in the field. Yeah. And that's kind of the difference between document versus produce. And again, like I always say with what I do, it's better to get caught with it than without it. I mean, how many times has somebody went out to the field and exercised a valve the wrong way, operated a pump dry because they didn't know, and there goes $20,000. Versus if they could have watched a 30-second video and go, oh, I got to do this before I turn the pump on, or oh, here's how I exercise the valve to where I don't crack it. Yeah. And now you save yourself some money off a 30-second video.
Yeah. I'm curious if you see, so right now what you're talking about is the value of going and documenting it versus going and like trying to shoot it, because documenting is where you're actually recording the real expertise in action. Okay, totally makes sense. Now kind of the AI question, which is from a quality perspective, for sure now a level even below the production thing, and certainly below the documentary component. But do you see a world in which perhaps, like, let's pretend that a company has 500 different types of like utilities, like tangible products that it's like working on, and there's all these different variants, right? Do you see a world in which like an AI could have a log of all of these things and be able to create visuals of processes on all of these different things that are semi-realistic, but caring less about it being picture perfect maybe, and more about in understanding the nuance of, you got a refrigerator and there's 100 different types of refrigerators, right? Yeah. In theory, you could get to a point where, you've got your video and you select your like criteria, like, okay, this is the type of electricity box refrigerator that I just opened, and it's actually able to live or in a loaded form generate a display of that without needing to go in and do, the film work that takes so much time. And
no, what you're referring to is what they call a digital twin. It's kind of like, if you ever looked at a house or an apartment, they have like a 3D model of what the house looks like or what the apartment walkthrough looks like. Same thing. They have this for plants. They have this for nuclear plants. They have this for ships. They have this for cruises. You can see a digital twin of exactly what you're going to be walking through, what the room looks like, what kind of machines are going to be next to you, and all that stuff. And like, that's cool. Do I think Vitendo will get to a point in the next 5 to 10 years where AI can kind of start encroaching on what I do? I think so. I think AI is getting good enough to be able to formulate an image of what a machine looks like, and it can give you a walkthrough on what button, like to not press the red button. I think we will get there with AI. It's moving so fast. I say 5 years. It might be 16 months. Who knows? But I will say this: video is king. Video is king. For right now, video is king. You can't circumnavigate seeing your exact truck in your exact facility in your exact dirt or water. You can't fake that. You can't hack that. And so yes, AI can come out with a similar truck with a similar kind of pump with similar kind of buttons, but again, our ego. Like, how many times have you talk to a construction company and they say, we do it this way, and you talk to a construction company right down the road, they say, oh, we do it this way. We don't do it that way. It's the same equipment. You're in the same dirt, but you do it a different way. So we all, one city next to another. They'll do it differently with the same equipment. And I get it. Like, everybody has their own way. Like, some people sit down at the table and, and the dad sits here and the mom sits here and you clap twice before you eat. Some people pray. Some people sing a song. Like, we're all going to eat, but
Yeah.
we're all going to do it a little bit differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Great analogies. And I still think that there is room there such that, it's not like companies are just going and getting or buying or procuring this generic version of it. Like, they can have it be their way, but with the uniform, part ID numbers of like, okay, this is what we do with it. And I don't, I'm sure there's more nuance to this that I'm not really digesting, but it's just food for thought. And I'm sure something that you'll have to think about on like a 2-year timeline. But yeah, love the like industry, like related, like where things are moving kind of conversation. I think it would be great to dive in a little bit more to the U side. One of the things that you pointed out, kind of actually transitioning out of the industry thing, was you said like when you stamp AI on something, sometimes you can charge like another 20K, like just because of that. I guess I'm kind of curious, like to what degree bringing AI into your approach has been resonating from a financial standpoint with the clients that you're seeking out, and if you're adjusting your sales pitch given the way you position yourself.
Well, I think AI can be a gift and a curse. I mean, if you like, everybody's slapping .ai in the back of their offering. Like, everybody is. And it's kind of like, it's almost a joke, like how many people say they're an AI company, but it's like, oh, you use ChatGPT, a chatbot on your website. Like, and like, okay, like, am I faulting them for doing that? No. Like, for me, I use AI in the most standardized form. Like, out of 500 videos, who wants to search through 500 videos on YouTube? Nobody. That's terrible. Who wants to search through 500 videos on the Vitendo platform? It's not really that fun. But if you can type into a chatbot and say, hey, I'm working on truck ABC today and I'm doing process 1, 2, 3, and it gives you everything you need to know for it, like, AI helped out. That's a win for AI. Like,
Yes.
that's a win. You can't, again, like, AI is the best. Like, I can make a good case that we're all cell phones with bodies attached to them. Because how many times have you went somewhere without your cell phone? Like, never. So we're all cyborgs, right? We're all humans with this. These are attached to us everywhere we go.
Yeah.
And I think AI is making a darn good case that we need to have some form of AI in our pocket at all times, because I don't go on Google anymore. I don't want to see links. I don't want to get pitched to. I don't want, because it's too many calories that I burn, mentally, that I got to scroll and find a link. All I asked is, what year was George Washington born? Yeah. Like, it just gave me the answer.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And it's the same thing with
that one might have came up on a regular Google search before, but I totally see your point.
Oh, totally. Like, I mean, it's
Fantastic.
one of those things that, like, I use Gemini now. I cut my Chat GPT. Everybody's talking about Claude, but I do think that, like, I mean, Google is done. Like, the Google search, that search format, like, nobody wants to go to page 2 or 3 just to find something. I just want to get my answer, and then I'll go from there. So
I do that AI overview if I'm ever like on Google like tab and I just like have Claude closed or something. Every now for a very simple search, I won't actually go into Claude and whatnot.
Okay, yeah, and it's I'm sure there's a lot of more people out there like that, but I do think that AI is a way to. It's never been a deal closer. Nobody's been like, oh, we're gonna bring you on because you have AI. It's just one of those things that, like, you kind of have to speak the language because they know what it is, and it's gonna help you out. Like, you can't AI a bicep curl yet. Like, you can't hack that in any way. But again, with what I do,
redefining biohacking there.
yeah. I mean, not yet. Like, I got a caveat.
Please
and say,
no.
yeah, but like with what I do now, you can use AI to make it more efficient, and I think it helps. It helps explain the service better, and it helps people find what they need, which makes it more efficient. So I'm a proponent for it, and I'm still against like creating an AI flyer. Like, you'll never see me put out 100% AI flyer. Consider it AI slop. I could tell when people write like with AI on LinkedIn and stuff, and so I try to stay away from all that. But I do think that it does help me start not at 0, but start at like 2 to get to 10.
Yeah. No, that's another interesting topic, which I guess kind of start moving us talking a little bit more about Vitendo. I'm really curious, like what you've been doing so far over the last like year. Like, what are some of the business initiatives you've got underway? Particularly, we'll talk about like what's been going well so far, and then we'll move into like goals and challenges.
Sure. I would say what's been going well is like sales is just it's pretty much transferring your excitement and enthusiasm for your product or service to somebody who potentially needs it. I mean, you're a hammer looking for a nail.
Yeah,
We know most people have a problem. We know most people, and we start, and the further we go, the more conversations we have, the more we start to dial in who would have that problem and where that problem lies. And so I think when I first started out, like my service can work for the local pizza guy. My service can work for for like somebody who put their Airbnb up to say, oh, here's a video on how to like turn on the water heater if it goes off, or like how to or how to tweak the garbage disposal to work it. Like videos can work in any way, but like since I'm in public works and public utilities, I had to find my people, and I would say that I've gotten better about finding my people, and then also being able to like the accounts that I've worked with and the entities or the agencies that I've already done business with, like you start getting some positive use cases and it starts to go from there. Like this industry is small. It's a small industry. It might be 400,000 or 500,000 people in it, but like after a while, we all start to know each other, see each other, stumble over each other, step on each other's toes. Like it's a small industry. So again, like
especially when you
over
do
time,
400 podcast episodes.
yes, and that's another thing. Like I'm not joking about the saying when you have more conversations in your like it doesn't have to be your potential customers, just in your target market, you will start to better define the solution to people's problem, and you will also find more efficiently who has your problem. And so that's the podcast for me. Like I'm able to hack 400 conversations with people and like hear what their problems are, like hear what
Yeah,
what they do and who they are. Like it's not like I'm
I mean,
trying to
yeah,
be sleazy about it, but it's they talk about Floyd Mayweather, like how he just collects data for like the first 3 rounds. Like that was
yeah.
me for the first 150, 200 podcasts. I'm still trying to figure out
Whoa,
my language. I'm still trying to figure out verbiage, nomenclature, acronyms. Like I don't know. I didn't know any of that stuff when I first got in the industry. So I'm
yeah,
collecting data as I go. And again, it makes me a more fit, better fighter, as the rounds get deeper into it.
yeah. So it sounds like you've gotten this really great network. My understanding is still that like it's just this very volatile like sales cycle, right? That was one of the things
Yeah.
we talked
Yeah.
about during
It's
our
long, baby.
pre-call.
It's
So
long.
I guess kind of
Yeah.
moving on the like challenges and goals side. I guess curious where you want to be because I know you said you see this as like a 10 to 15 million like ARR kind of business, but right now it's like hard to get there even though it feels
Yeah.
achievable. What's in the way?
Yeah. It's time, man. It's time. It's time. Most 90%, 99% of decisions are made by committee in this industry. So imagine like I got to sell Ethan on the, and when I say sell, I got to get you excited about it. And
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
sell Ethan, and then Ethan's got to talk to Billy Bob, and then Billy Bob's got to talk to Susie Q, and then Susie Q's got to get Jamal excited, and Jamal's got to get Jerome excited. And then you get back 6 months later and say, okay, we want to hear more. And now I got to come and sell all of you at the same time. And then like, don't let a water main break, or don't let let's say Trump do something on the news that screws up supply chain and they got to focus on other stuff. So
yeah,
like like I always feel like I'm battling against Trump and Taylor Swift, because if something happens, whether it's on the news cycle or culturally, like you lose. We all are, like every small business, we're all battling obscurity because nobody
yeah,
knows what we do, and like nobody knows the problem that we solve. So we're all battling against Trump's next tweet and Taylor Swift's next breakup. Because if that takes the attention, that attention's not on us, and our business doesn't grow. And I would say that like kind of what you're saying with the next steps is I just want to keep having more conversations.
yeah,
I feel like I'm not even a salesman yet. I'm still an
yeah,
evangelist for custom video training. Even if
yeah.
they do it in-house, like I'm okay, great, you did it in-house. Like you didn't use me, that's unfortunate, but like I kind of want to just open people's eyes. It's kind of like when cultural went from fat-free to like sugar-free to like keto. Like all like food has been around for 2,000-3,000 years.
Yeah.
Like bacon has been around. Bacon and eggs is keto. It's like, oh, like now our eyes are open to it and we can be more fit because we use that. So it's kind of like me just screaming from the mountaintops, like you too can use custom video training to educate your workforce and develop your workforce versus me saying buy from me, buy from me, buy from me. And again, I just want to have as many conversations as possible. And again, this industry's small. I won't mind having extra 50 friends a year that when I see at a trade show, I go, hey man, how you been? Like that's not a bad thing. Like I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely being the person that knows everybody and knows all the dynamics that are happening in your industry is never a bad thing. I guess I'm curious, like, you explained the long process of going, like, your sales pipeline is a very lengthy process, is my understanding. Do you have a way, 12 to 18 months on, wow, do you have a system for going about evaluating, like, the degree of progression and like tracking almost like expected value so that you're able to, because one of the hard things is obviously for you trying to figure out financially like where you're at and like where you're about to be and where you want to be. But if you just have so many different people that you're kind of talking to at different capacities, it's got to be difficult to really internalize like, okay, this client right now like is worth like, let's pretend the deal that you signed would be, $500,000 with them, right? But you're only on level like 2 out of 5, right? Well, the expected value calculation that goes into recognizing like where you're at, right? As long as you have enough clients, you're able to, or like potential clients, you're able to kind of be like, okay, this is my like average like annual like run rate that I've actually achieved, even though it's not realized. Are you able to have a process like that in place, or have you thought about it?
I thought about that for sure, and it's kind of like that's a good problem for me to have, and I don't have that problem yet. Like right now, if somebody called me and says, "Hey, we got a deal for you. It's gonna be $1,700," I'll be like, "Let's do it." I learned one thing with all my reading of books and personal development stuff. Like they say the 3 L's. The only time you should take a discount is for the 3 L's. One is lettuce, one is learning, and one is logo. So like if you need the money, take the deal. If you need to learn something or get into a new niche or a new vertical, take the deal. If you need a logo, like let's say, I want to do with PG&E was the power company in America or of California, or even like the federal government. If I wanted to be a federal government guy, I would take it just to do it. And so I don't discriminate what deals that I do right now because I can learn, makes money, and keep people employed, and then also I can show people as a case study that I've done that type of work. And so yes, would I love to have a more dialed in process of like I shouldn't talk to this guy because he's only going to make me this much versus that guy. Like I'm not there yet, and that's why I say like I'm not even a salesman yet. I'm still an evangelist. I just want to talk to everybody. I just want to explain what I do and see if it's kind of like the net, like the shotgun approach. I'm going to cast a huge net. I'm going to get some water bottles in it, but I'm going to get some trout in it too. So we'll see.
You fish at all?
No. Oh, a little bit. Not enough to be.
Okay. I love fishing, so it just like took me to the fact that like I did not go trout fishing like this winter, and I just was like, dang, that kind of sucks that I didn't do.
Get it together, man.
I know. Now I'm trying to think. Was there one time that No, I missed the whole season.
You got a boat? What kind of boat you got?
No, I don't have a boat. Okay. But for trout, you don't really need a boat. I mean, like most streams are small enough that you can wade and get up in there. And I don't mind getting.
I'm in Arizona. We don't really have the streams and stuff like that out here.
No. Y'all get the cactuses. Like that's like the opposite of like trout conditions. Anyways, super tangent. Okay, so you said that you want to cast like a wide net approach and the podcast and hitting 400. And how long did you hit 400 in?
5 years.
5 years. Okay.
It felt. There's some weeks I did 7. There's some months where I did 0. But like it just keeps adding up, man.
Yeah. Wow. I mean that's fantastic. I guess I'm curious like what have maybe been some of your biggest learnings? So you got the podcast initiative as one of your ways that you're trying to drive growth, and then there's I'm sure some other things. What have been some of your learnings about your like wide net approach, and how have you like not just shrunk the net so that it doesn't get as many holes in it when you throw it out, but also done things to make sure you're throwing it more in the right place? And I know you said obviously you'll take clients like if you get that all makes sense, but you still want to like throw it in the right area. So if you get something that's on the edge of the net rather than right in the middle where you thought it was, it's like
Yeah.
you're at least in the right vicinity going down your path.
No, I this is my 2 a.m. thoughts every night. Is my business is a nice to have, not a have to have yet. Like it, I like some people see it as a have to have because they've tried to execute on it internally, and they're like, we need this. This makes sense. We've already tried to do it. We know you can do it. Let's get it done. And some people are like, well, I spend X amount of thousands of dollars. I bring you in. We do the whole deal. My guys aren't going to use it anyways. They don't use the last software we bought for them. So it's kind of like a nice to have to them. And that's kind of where I get in trouble with the wide net is that people will say, oh, this is cool. Let's talk. And then I've started to figure out like who can actually make a decision internally to get it pushed through. Because sometimes you could talk to an operator, a guy in an orange vest, and say, this is what I do, this is Vitendo, and he has enough influence within his department that he can tell his supervisor to say, buy this thing, right? But you go to the next city over, talk to the same guy in that same position, and say, hey, this is what Vitendo is, this is what Vitendo does. If he brought it up at a meeting, they laugh at him, right? So it's same person, different city. I can go to a director, public works director, who was pretty much like the CEO of public works in a city. I can explain Vitendo to him and say, this is what it is, this is what it does. He can say, I like it. I'm going to force all of my departments to use you for that, right? And now I'm in. I can go to the public works director at the next city over and say, this is what Vitendo is, this is what it does. And if he says, hey, this is what we want to do internally, all the departments say, screw you, we're not doing that. We don't need to do it. We need to listen to you. I know we report to you, but we're not going to use that. You don't know what you're talking about. You're not out in the field. And so I have to get better at finding out who is that person of influence internally. You would think it's a job description. It's like if you're an insurance salesman, you go to the loss mitigation person in a company. If you're a payroll like person, you ask HR, or the payroll person inside that company because you know who to talk to and what to talk about. In my industry, it's tough because you don't know who is that person of influence to get your deal across the table. And so that's where I get in trouble with the wide net because you start talking to people going down the rabbit hole and you realize, oh, you don't have enough influence internally to get this deal done.
Gotcha. Have you thought about like how to get that kind of intel, like without having to, be in person and do like a ton of research? Like, obviously you're going to play some whack-a-mole with it regardless. Yeah, but in terms of the outreach that you do that's beyond just like the community engagement stuff that you do, I know you go to a lot of like events, like trade show kind of things, let's say, and you're able to sniff out a dynamic like that there, right? But there's got to be some kind of like, okay, on average, like if they've got this role title, like this is what it means in this % of cases, and based on what I've seen.
I wish I think nightly. I'm like, what's the formula? I look at all my previous deals and I literally write them out. Who I talked to, where I found them at, what their position is, what they like to eat for lunch, who they sit next to in their office, who they brought to this meeting, who they brought to that meeting, because I'm trying to replicate it. I need to be able to replicate my sales process, and I haven't figured it out yet. Like I'm literally going to Tacoma, Washington tomorrow to speak at a conference. My talk is at 4, which is a tough slot, but let's say it's 30 people in the room. They all can use Vitendo. But you know how many times I spoke this year and how many deals I got? I spoke 7 times this year already. And maybe have 2 leads out of that. And so it goes back to like, dude, I'm talking. And like I'm a volume guy. I always feel like you get, like people say, oh, I'm quality over quantity. I say, no, you're an idiot. You get to quality through quantity.
That's going to be like the clip of this whole thing.
That's okay. How did Steph Curry get to be the best shooter on the planet? He shot the most, right?
Yeah.
How did Steve Jobs get to be the best techie he iterated. He had so many companies and ideas and products that he finally figured it out. And so like it's with me, I need to talk to as many people as possible to continue to dial in my pitch, to dial in my talk, to dial in my little, hey, how you doing conversation, to be able to find those people. So I'm okay with flying halfway across the country, talking in front of 30 people, leaving empty-handed, because I know that my problem will come. My
it's compounding return.
Yeah. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. And I think it's a mix, right? Like you want to go with the best approach. Well, how do you get the best approach? You have a quantity of previous approaches that informs your next one. So it's not
Yeah.
just like continue, you just press quantity, quantity, quantity. It's
Yeah.
quantity and quality very quickly become intertwined with one another, right? The
Sure.
more that
Sure.
you do anything, the more you develop expertise, understanding,
Yeah.
resonation with people, speak the same language, use the same acronyms,
Yep.
have
Yep.
talked to three Billy Bobs, so you know Billy
Yep.
Bob Joe, right? Like
Yep.
all of that
Yep.
like comes with
And,
it.
and
Um,
like, and how many people have you who are the quality perfectionists and they don't do anything? Oh,
yeah,
I'm waiting for the perfect business card. Or I'm waiting for my website, or I'm waiting to have this so I can go to this conference and talk to people. And like they never launch. I always say 70% done, and or launch is better than like perfect. Like get it out the
yeah,
door because you'll get feedback quicker. And you know what people like us do with feedback? We iterate, we pivot, we make
yeah,
changes, we tweak our pitch, we tweak everything, and then
yeah, yeah. I guess I just keep having so many questions, but I've gotten off the script has like completely gone in the trash can. Like it was like a
oh
handful of
good.
questions, and we touched enough bases that it was
No,
a
it's
great
funny.
one.
I rarely get to talk like the sales marketing side, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, I have just so many thoughts, and I think that there's so much nuance, but also with nuance is the opportunity, and like per what we talked about with AI and the opportunity in the product that you're offering, like there is so much potential opportunity to thin out that nuance and increase those hit rates, even though it all seems so excessively nuanced and arbitrary. So,
Yeah.
it's a yeah, this conversation could continue for another hour, but I want to stop and just give you the opportunity to share where people can learn more about you, your podcast, your website, in case anyone on here wants your services or wants to connect from a partnership standpoint. Yeah, spill it out there for
Yeah.
everyone listening.
Well, I mean, if like I always say, get to know the person first. We buy from people. People buy from people. So I would say go to my LinkedIn page. You'll see kind of what I'm passionate about. You'll see my family on there. You'll see me talking about what I do. And then if I'm okay with you and your book, go to vitendo.us, find out what the company is about, and then let's hop on a call. I'm always down to just hop on a call. I'm not gonna, twist your arm to try to sell you or get your email so I can, send you 30,000 emails. But let's just hop on the call and talk shop. Like I feel like the hallway conversation is something that we're kind of getting back to since COVID hit. But like, let's have a water cooler conversation. Just talk about life, society, the industry, and see where it goes from there. Again, like nobody wants to be in a deal where you don't like the other person. Nobody. I don't care if you're
Yeah.
forced to like do business with somebody. You don't want to do that. So let's
No.
like each other first, and then let's move on to something more fruitful for both sides.
Yep. Yep. No, totally agree and hear everything with that. Hell, that's why I started my business. I was doing consulting before starting this, and it's just the dynamic wasn't what I want. I want a real interpersonal connection, like
Yeah,
lasting with clients and whatnot.
yeah,
So
yeah.
everything there rings true. Love it. Thank you for sharing all your insights and for sharing where people can get more insights from you. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming and watching, and thank you for being here, Joseph.
For sure. Thanks for having me on.
If today's conversation resonated with you and you're looking to learn how business leaders are driving value using AI, make sure to hit subscribe. Feel free to check out our other episodes. And I've also left my LinkedIn in the description below, so you're welcome to connect, and I will see you next time.